Better than it was, I believe.
Yeah.
I moved to open the meeting.
Okay, there we go. We got a second. Okay. All right, we're gonna do roll call. So I have Terry Johnson,
Here.
Andrew Renkley,
Here.
Kevin Repcheck,
Here.
Lane Vincent,
Here.
Sam Ashbaugh, here, Marty Basic,
Here.
Tom Provins,
Present.
Adam Bowman is not here, and Jason Ruggles is not here. Commissioner Silverman should be joining us remotely if he does decide to attend. No, he was under the weather. Next item on the agenda is meeting minutes from last meeting. Motion to approve. Any questions on them?
Motion to approve, that's what I asked a question.
Second.
All fair.
Okay, all right. Oh, well, since we don't have our chairperson, does vice chairperson have a report? Like to say anything as the chairperson stand-in?
No, only because, I thought we got a lot done last meeting in terms of finding or figuring out the 3 subcommittees. But we really haven't had a chance to add anything to that since then, so. Other than move on.
Okay. So the commission liaison obviously is not here. I am the staff liaison, so that would be item number 5. So we're knee deep in budget, like we said last month that we would be. So the manager's ranking has been done. So just kind of give you a preface of where we're at right now in the budget cycle as we move through. Like I said, everything was submitted to us late July, early August. We met with department meetings to rehash a little bit. We rehashed basically by the end of August, we have numbers. We're ready to present to the manager and say, hey, this is what your department heads are presenting. And how would you like to proceed? So we met for 6 hours and we go over all this stuff. So the first meeting is, hey, what questions do you have? Because prior to that, we deliver a laundry list of all changes, everything that people are requesting, priorities, needs, so on and so forth. He then delivers back to us all of his questions off of that. So we try and like nip it in the bud before we get to the point, hey, you're gonna notice this, so I might as well just tell you what it is before you ask the question. But he still finds questions, which is great. So then we meet for another 2 hours to discuss where we're at. To kind of give my thoughts of where we're at, those types of things. We then have a subsequent meeting the following week for another couple hours, and that's what's called the ranking meeting. And that ranking meeting is he prioritizes his 1 through till he runs out of funding. It is basically what it is. We sit around a table much like this, and we have it all together. So once he gives us our ranking, now it's Terry primarily and my job to then formulate that into a crafted budget. Right, so whether that be the budget message, the service level rankings, all the subsequent schedules, all those things. So that's the stage we're in now. We have a delivered budget by numbers. Now it's delivered budget by numbers with text is where we're at for the next 20 days. Again, due by November 1st. We will get it done by November 1st. It does benefit us to wait. We used to try and do this much earlier, like the beginning of September. But sometimes there's other information that comes in, and waiting an extra 20 to 25 days does help. Yes, it crunches the printing time and crunches the production time, but it does get you better numbers prior to delivering to the commission. So there's a lot more information there. So that's where we're at right now. And so we're knee deep in that. So. Yes.
Question, so do you do zero-based budgeting or do it requirement-based?
It's zero-based, but it's a hybrid zero-based. So like the first 125 are being funded, right? Things like debt service, things like reactive police force, right? Those are things that we know while we build it, what that costs by level. Those are things that we know are being funded. So basically 126 forward till we run out of funding is really what the manager decides on and prioritizes where that is in the ranking. In what really happens in the end is it's those fringe things, right? Things that are 10 to 15 below the line and 10 to 15 above the line, or are really those things that are being discussed in those meetings we're talking about. Once we get down to brass taxes, as they call it, those types of things. So, but we build from the ground up for every service level. We make sure we have as detailed as we can get Because sometimes you're just spinning your wheels to spin your wheels when you're, and counting every widget. That's not what we're doing. But we're at least understanding what it takes to produce every service level within the budget. So we make sure we do that exercise, and it really does pay off. Does pay off in the end.
Well, in the interest of transparency, when you guys publish that in the Mount Lebanon magazine, it's very detailed, which is awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, that's.
And if you go to the website, there is a detail by service level. Of the full ranking, and then we update it as we go. And then the final one shows you what was above the line, below the line by function. So you know what's new, what's not new, those types of things. So you don't have to sit through all 12 hours of budget discussion. We do, yes. Terry provides candy, so that helps a lot.
And I feed them.
She feeds them, yes. So we make sure we have good food, so, for that. So any questions on budget so far? Just, I know, and then, so dovetailing into, you saw that we canceled the meeting for next time. So you have the opportunity to attend on the same night. So one of the things we have to do is wrangle everybody, whether that be department heads, but especially commissioners, to make sure all 5 commissioners are in the same room on non-scheduled nights. Commissioners are, by the very nature of their schedules with advisory meetings and 2 sessions a month, their nights are busy, right, during a month as an elected official here. So we're imposing another 4 nights. Yes, they know it's coming, but where does that fit with band practice and wrestling schedules and da-da-da-da-da? So we try and herd as best we can. We try to avoid Saturdays. For the last couple of years, we've had to do Saturday sessions because it's the only time we can. So we offered up November 13th, which is the scheduled finance management board meeting, for 2 reasons. One is that was a date that everyone worked for. And secondly is we know that, you may be interested in doing that instead of, we offered that last time, that it would make sense, but why don't we, combine that together? It'll kind of give you a perspective as to what's discussed. And 2 of the big departments are on that. Our 2 highest cost centers are on that discussion, which is the police and public works. So, public works, they go through every, so you'll have an idea more so, not necessarily only for financial management board purposes, but just as a resident, our public works director has a wealth of knowledge to understand how all these things function, and how they work. So, it'll be an interesting night. Feel free to stay for some or all, up to you. Tune in via Zoom. You don't necessarily have to attend, but we do encourage you to come, and kind of feel the room, but.
Is it in this room or
It's in this room,
Okay.
yeah, we'll extend a table. Say again?
Everything's in this.
Everything's in this room, that's right. Yeah, we extend these tables so everyone can sit around, and then the department heads sit up there. Terry and I sit in that corner, where Andrew and Sam are.
Will there be candy?
There will be candy, and yes, you are more than welcome. And that night, I will extend that you guys are more than welcome to come eat as well. We're not gonna invite you and not feed you as well. So I don't know what's that night.
7:00 start time.
Meal starts at 5:30 and budget review starts at 6.
First at 6, yeah. So feel free, we'll more than happy to include it as part of the meal. We'll make sure we get enough for people to come. So, so. That's where we're at. Any other questions at this point? Okay, so old businesses subcommittee. So I'd like to start with first subcommittee being the pension. So Kevin and Tom, was there a third?
Nobody was interested in it.
Nobody was interested, which is fine. They can always join later. So we will schedule that for November, first or second week. I'll get dates from you through a doodle poll, what works for you guys, and our financial advisor. For our pension plans, and we'll get a Zoom call scheduled up. Okay, so that we'll just know that comes in. It's always the note, 2 months after quarter end, the second month after quarter end at the beginning. So they compile all the reports and do all that stuff. So we'll forward that on and go from there, and then we'll report back at the December meeting. Okay, and then I will let any subcommittees that would like to kind of formulate. We had the fleet electrification and trash side. I know Terry had sent something out to the group. for the trash hauling stuff. So whoever would like to start with their subcommittee, we can start there.
Jerry, you want to talk about what you said?
You wanna bring it up?
Yeah, I can bring it up. Sure can.
So hoping to get the dialogue, just get some discussion. Went out and found some web pages, with companies and organizations which are involved in, manufacturing and selling trash trucks. And it's an interesting, and there's a wide variety of folks out there doing business. And get this up, we'll just take a couple steps through and talk about a couple of things, just trying to get the ball rolling.
One question I had about this, has there been any discussion through like the Council of Governments about doing something like from a regional perspective?
I think our commissioners are interested in that, especially Andrew Flynn, for sure. And as he had stated at the last meeting, he would like to be as part of this subcommittee, be involved. Obviously, he's not our current council chair or commission chair, but he would like to be involved because he is interested at a regional level, because it's not going away. This issue is going to be here in front and present before we know it. Right. Steve's here? All right. Hi, Steve. I'm gonna promote you. There you are, buddy. All right, let me get that up real quick.
Can you hear me okay?
Sure.
All right, great. Sorry I'm late. I heard that Andrew extended the big invitation to join us for budget time. I hope you do join. I'm sorry I missed Andrew. Are you going to give the group any kind of information beforehand about what items we're going to be discussing that night?
We talked about they're gonna be doing public work. Right now, tentatively, it's public works and police.
All right. Okay, well, so you get a front row seat to see how the sausage gets made. So hopefully you folks will be able to join us. I like this stuff. So, I mean, seeing how the minutia works, I think is very interesting, and I'm hoping the group enjoys that as well. A couple other things I'll mention, but I'll wait until you're done with all the subcommittee reports, then I'll make a few notes.
Okay. All right, Terry, here we go.
Let's go back to page 1. I'll start at the beginning. So I uploaded this a couple, 3 weeks ago, and I'm saying the first line, feel free to correct. I certainly am not authoritative in this particular business. Spent a little bit of time researching online, came up with some just visuals to help us recognize what we're looking at. And as we go forward, next, please. As it says, bottom line up front, there's a wild variety of garbage trucks at the designed at the residential and commercial market. And one of the things that the city needs to be looking at is, what's the segmentation? What's the requirement between the two? How much of it's industrial? How much of it's commercial? Do we have a mix there? Is it budget worthy to be leaning into one way or the other? Trucks vary in capacity, and with capacity goes price. And the following slides talk at a very high level types of truck and the price ranges. Before incorrect, next page actually talks about the weight classifications. And from what I see, we in the city would be looking at class 6 and below, probably mostly class 5 and below. As you get higher up, the price is not linear. It compounds up. So if we're in the business of hauling trash commercially, it's a bigger expense than hauling trash residentially. Next, please. At the very bottom level, or at the very bottom line, front loader, side loader, rear loader, roll-on are the kinds that pop up over and over and over again. And Andrew, you may have insight into other fancy stuff we have beside that, but this is what I see from a quick look. Next, please. Front loader, primarily commercial, for hauling dumpsters. And one of the things I don't understand is how much of the business we're doing would be commercial, if at all.
Currently none.
No?
I
Currently,
live
we
right
do
by
not.
two schools, and those come and pick up the trash for the schools all the
Right.
time, so that's a separate contract.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, everyone commercially has to contract their own. So there's separate haulers. It could be Waste Management to Allied Waste to,
So the schools,
same, yes.
so the schools do use them.
The only ones that we would need this for, is actually our own trash. So dumpsters we have, so, the municipal building, library building, public works, we have roll-offs, which are your roll-ons. We have roll-offs and those types of things. It's actually our own stuff as opposed to any that we pick up for anybody else.
So the names you're gonna see over and over again, Mack, Freightliner, Battle Motor, I'd never heard of those guys before, they advertise a lot. So these things run about 250 large and up, so you can find them more expensive. Side loader, that's what you see a lot here, that I see, that's what comes by my house to pick up trash. Primarily a residential tool, but being a residential tool, it also has a lower capacity in weight. Prices run there, what, say 350 large. Again, Heel, Mack, Dennis Eagle. What did I get? There are automated versions of this too, which I don't have here, but geez, 15 years ago, when I lived in Ventura, California, they had automated things. And the truck driver would drive it up and the machine would, find the trash, pick it up and haul it, dump it in. So it's widely deployed. But we don't do it. We just got guys out there muscling it in.
You need standard trash. Right.
And surrounding municipalities do that. Bethel Park and Dormont now
Peters.
have them. Peters, yeah, they have standard cans, so that would probably go into the cost too.
Yeah, we're one of the few that don't have them.
Yeah.
And so I guess we don't have standard cans here.
Do not.
Yeah, something to consider. Next,
Just,
please.
just our, just the ones we collect, sorry to interrupt, but just as a ballpark. With the 11,000 cans, we have 11,000 properties. The bulk price figure was over $1 million to give you a 96 gallon toter for trash. And 64 gallon for recycling.
Say that again.
It was over $1 million. I can get you the exact
Yeah.
figure, but it's pricey,
But
just for cans.
Hey, but if Dormont can do it, come on.
But, so again, I come from a pretty industrial background, where, working aircraft carrier overhauls. So stuff like this, now you gotta maintain it, now you gotta keep it up, now you gotta have people work on it. You're gonna have to have extra route or extra versions for when breaks.
Yep.
The math needs to be developed for that.
Correct. Absolutely.
I have a silly question before we go on. We had said that commercial, like, not on the table. Is that really not on the table, or should that be part of this analysis also? Just thinking, like, if they're all contracting with their own
Right.
and we're gonna go out and get these trucks. Is there a benefit to?
I think more so than not having as many trucks on our roads. You have one coming here. and-
That's what I
Yeah,
mean,
that's
like,
what-
right.
I don't disagree with
Yeah.
you, but that could be into the equation, an alternate kind of base plus alternate. type
What we have to
model.
legislate that into power though, like saying. you
I was
have to-
thinking about that
You
too.
have, like in a private business, you
Yeah.
have to use our company.
I don't know that answer. That's a good,
So I would
good
think
follow-up
that-
question.
I mean, like, if you're.
Yeah.
I'd also imagine they might want to, like, the reality is going to get, presumably, if we're all doing it together, they're all doing it together, it's gonna be a lot more cost effective for them too.
I can speak for the schools in Asbury Heights. They do all the pickup like at 11 o'clock at night and 5 in the morning.
Mhm.
I mean, those trucks aren't out during the day.
Mhm.
They do night shift.
To go back to the conversation about trash cans for a second, that was, Commission spent a lot of time talking about that. Now, it was dictated to us about one of the proposals that we had to, people were required to use a 96 gallon can. And so for a number of reasons, Commission was not interested in that. So obviously, as Andrew said, it's expensive. There are also some other circumstances as well. But one of the pieces of feedback we got is residents just didn't want to have to deal with a can that was that big. They preferred, if we had to require a can, they preferred one that was smaller.
Well, I think that would play into if you bought your own equipment, you'd want the can to match.
Oh, yeah, this was
I mean-
was that they were requiring us to use a 96 gallon can. That was the way their rates were structured for emptying, and we had residents who said, either they don't generate that much trash, or they were just said, I'm a senior citizen, I can't move a 96-gallon can to the curb. And so that was some of the pushback we got.
It's smaller, you may not have a big enough can for your weekly trash, especially if you have a family of 3 or 4 kids.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, I have no trouble filling them.
I have no trouble, yeah.
So could we go back one? So if you're not going to be using a side loader, then you're looking probably at a rear.
Oh, we
Check
didn't get
back, yeah,
Yeah.
I was going backwards, sorry, this is forward.
So the rear loader, again, which typically, what I'm accustomed to seeing is, you know, a driver in the front, a couple of guys hanging off the rear end. So in this case, you're looking at higher labor costs. Whereas if you do the side loader, you know, if you're able to operate the automated system, then it takes less labor to get it done.
I have for sure seen operator and hop out of the truck, come around the back, done like one guy doing it all. Like, it just takes, obviously it takes a lot longer to do that. So I mean, I'm sure that we could do the analysis to see what that looks like, but.
So part of that analysis too, things to consider, and this is where you would bring the public works director in when that time is right to make sure that we flush that analysis out. But there's the route listing of where you're at. There are certain routes that need a smaller truck that you actually can't fit a big one down. And that is taken care of by our current hauler. They're aware of that, and they send a special truck down that is that size. So those types of things are all gonna have to be considered as part of that, because that will be a specialized truck for that.
I was gonna say too, I'm assuming when we bid these out in their current position, they feed back to you how many man hours, how many trucks they use, what days, so we already kind of have a blueprint.
We do, actually, they give us more data than Waste Management ever did.
Okay.
That unfortunately it's all on paper, but we have it.
Yeah.
We
So
have
that's
all
something to
those
work off,
per-
we're gonna have to reinvent the wheel.
Yeah, we could definitely
Around
take a
the
look at that.
manpower, and
Yeah,
they're probably gonna tell us what trucks they used to,
right, yeah.
so.
So I've got a question for you then, you know, for Andrew, maybe Steve. Again, going back to my experience, if we're looking to change, we would typically look at courses of action, different COAs. COA 0 is always, you know, what are you doing now?
Mhm.
COA 1, COA 2, COA 3, after that being alternatives and probably increased complexity and cost.
Right.
Is that the way municipal government does work or something like that? Or-
Yes, that would be what we would be looking to at a higher level, not necessarily at the specific level off the top, but that's what they're looking for here at a cost level. Of what types of factors are we considering? Are we even in the ballpark where in year 2020, what are we in 24? So it'd be 29. Then ramping that back to 27, because if you're gonna have to do any of this, it's gonna have to start in 27.
Buying stuff now.
So 26, the analysis better be done in late 25. So that's why we're talking about it now, to get there.
Then maybe just to offer for this particular subcommittee, maybe developing the COAs and looking, you know, bordering them or highlighting, lining them up to say, here's the COAs we might wish to consider, here are the elements within them.
Yeah.
So you define it and then you limit what you're looking at cost-wise and labor-wise.
And I think to Sam's point is at first glance, just the space it's gonna take to store these trucks and to have a residue, like if something's in a truck and you need a dump site so that you can treat, like there's stuff that we've never been in this business. But to Sam's point is what I was trying to get at was the regionalization probably makes more sense because one, it's a huge capital expense, right? And there's a, you know, and the space wise, like we really don't have a space to put all this stuff. So either we rent outside the municipality or we team up and we do it together, so.
And kind of taking a step back, like, how many bids did we receive for the current one? I mean, so that only 2, okay, and then do you know, like, are those the only 2 providers that serve all the other communities in South Hills, or are there others? that
Of all the
just
Shaycog communities, which are 17 or 19, it's only those 2 providers. Yes. And in so much that the automated collection, which I can go into further as we go down the subcommittee, because it's not true automation in Dormont.
Matching cans.
It's partial automation. The fact that 5 years prior to this contract, the prior 5-year one, that Dormont wasn't eligible, we weren't eligible because true automation is they literally don't have to get out of the truck. Well, they can't do that here, so the partial automation is the fact they have to get out, move the can, and then it can go in. Where someone's not lifting it, but you know, the cans are automated and all that stuff. But to your point that, yes, there's only 2 in Westmoreland Sanitary, who is our provider, did not provide automation similar to that prior 5 years to us, Dormont, Mount Oliver. There were 5 of us. That they wouldn't, Brentwood, that they wouldn't provide automation in any form. So
Why?
because of
It
that issue, I was telling you, like, it's not true automation where you pull up in St. Clair. It's right there, boom, and there, you know, you're not dealing with parked cars, there's no
Trees,
sidewalks,
yeah.
trees, lower lines, like everything's buried in St.
Yeah.
Clair. So on and so forth. So yes, the market is very, very compressed. I mean, it's.
But when the cost went up so much for everyone, was their main reason labor? Was it the dumps are charging more? What was the?
I don't think it's tipping fees. We've never had a tipping fee issue here in Western Pennsylvania, from what we know. It's the workers' comp issue. Finding drivers, just straight up post-COVID, trying to find drivers, that not only want to do the business, but have the wherewithal to then go get certified to drive a CDL, right? Be a CDL, certified driver. And then cost of equipment. You know, they're 2-year lead time on dump trucks.
Really?
We have a Freightliner right now, you know, on order. We just got it last month in August, maybe it was 2 months ago. We ordered that beginning of 22. Beginning of 23, I'm sorry. Beginning of 23, we just got a standard Freightliner, you know, heavy dump truck. You know, and now they're 290 grand.
And as I learned from working in the city, you don't want these things sitting out in the rain, so thinking about covering them, whatever,
Correct.
because there's a whole big problem we had.
Yeah,
It's a big
Yeah.
investment.
When you
Yeah.
think about the regional, does it matter how many other communities are gonna be ready when we're ready? Like.
that's a great question.
Yeah, I agree. If we need it by 29, what if St. Clair doesn't need until 32?
Right, exactly,
Yeah.
right, because that. That's a
Yeah,
lot.
they are.
It's a lot of
So
rallying. It's a lot of cat herding.
it's a lot of cat herding in those that are the Shaycog communities right now. But we're already, if you read any press, there are communities that have been part of COGS that are going on their own. And we're in this 5-year with 17, 18 other communities, but we're all gonna be at that point that maybe we start hurting that in 25 to have that conversation and bring whomever to the table. I don't know what that looks like. And I think that's where Commissioner Flynn can really help. With his connections with Connect, which is the Congress of Neighboring Communities, run out of Pitt. That's where it could help to the regionalization side, but. A lot of.
Do you know how many trucks daily are used by the current provider?
I
Like to,
believe it's 2 trucks are in the community every day.
just to.
I believe so.
Washington Red is on Wednesdays.
Because they have a recycling truck here every day and they have a trash truck here every day, for sure, running the routes.
The one truck can do the whole.
I don't know if there's a third truck. I don't know that answer, but I know at least
No, that's
it's
interesting.
lower
We're
than
not-
you think.
Yes,
It's
we're
not
not
5
looking at
trucks
buying
because,
5 trucks.
no,
Okay.
exactly.
2
Because
trucks and the special ones, the smaller ones.
on those days that are needed of collection, but they also do use that truck for other things because there's only a handful of streets that need it.
Got it.
Because of the capacity and load, but also from what I know, and this is where Rudy Supel will come into play, so I'm not gonna speak for him, but I know it's lower than you think because we collect every day.
Yeah.
You know, so if you divide, we have 11,065 units. We have plenty of duplexes and triplexes, so bring that down. I think we have over 500 duplexes that we do, so you know, that's 250 stops on a weekly basis that you're doing it really at one fell swoop, so that's 2 units, so on rough numbers, you're talking 10 to 10.5, so that's 2,000 a day, right? So 2,000 stops a day.
So the current vendor provided you information on paper.
Yeah, can you get that?
You can get an additional copy, but it doesn't really tell you much.
Right, they
but-
don't. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, I have that,
That's interesting.
yeah. Yeah, and
Yes.
our old provider didn't provide that unless upon request. So,
Our current contracts have, you know, an unlimited tonnage as far as waste, or do you, you know, have to pay over, you know, so many tons a year, a week, or how does that work?
great question. So you have the ability to, the contract is designed, or the bid specs are designed in which they bid based on units, so number of units within the community or tonnage, however you would like to be billed. Okay, it's never made sense tonnage wise, because it's, unless we really clamp down.
You're gonna pay exponentially more.
Right, exactly. So it's always been per unit, for both, refuse. It's never made sense for recycling because we're unlimited, right? It doesn't matter how much recycling you put at the curb, they're gonna pick it up. Areas they've tried to curb is, and I don't mean that, the pun there, with it being on the curb, is bulk items. So it's once a week. Part of the bid specs and what they were coming back with was once a month. Westmoreland came back and said, we'll do once a week. We used to get 2 a week, which was unheard of. You know, people would say that. So it's per unit, currently, but we do and get all the tonnages. So when this analysis starts up, we'll be able to get you all of that. Get you historical from Waste Management. You can see the impacts of glass recycling coming back into the waste stream. Whereas before it would, you know, it was pulled out for 5 years. It's gone right back up. You know, you can see the tonnages that's a direct causation there. So there's a lot of stuff that goes into trash hauling, I tell you. Why I know so much, I don't know. Maybe because I like Rudy, yeah. He's taught me a lot, for sure.
I guess part of Lynn's question, you know, did the municipality ever look at teaming up with the school district as far as trash collection, or that just didn't pan out as far as, you know, logistics based on, you know, what they have to pick up and.
So part of the contract for every municipality that's in that SHACOG contract, we list out everything you want picked up. Besides units of residential, we also give them our trash cans we want. So we collectively say, hey, I want a 3-yard roll off back here, like these little ones back here. And then I want a 30-yard roll off. I want 2 of them over here. And so we all list them out. That's all within that unit price. So yes, we pay on per unit of 11,065-ish units. But built into that are specific facility dumpsters.
Not all units are equal,
Not. Yes. Yes,
because some units,
yes, but it's part of municipal collections is our facility. So school district doesn't, they do their own thing because they're not part of this contract. That makes
Yeah, I
sense.
didn't know if that, you know, conversation took place to include the school district to have one, you know, one bidder from Mount Lebanon versus 2 contract, you know.
Yeah, no, it is not, no, that's not, but that could be if we did our own thing. So that doesn't necessarily think that, yeah. Any other questions on that?
good discussion. And here's you talking about your roll on, roll off. You know, big trash cans.
And we have 2 of those at Public Works Yard.
So we have those already.
We do, we have 2 of them. That's correct.
I have one of those in my driveway right now. It's like-
Alrighty, so the summary, you know, there's lots of different types. Got to figure out the number and characteristics which are appropriate for our needs. I think starting off and copying off the homework of the folks who got the contract now would probably be a good place to start.
Yep. So action items of what you would like to deliver to that subcommittee, I'm hearing is, at least to see what's provided by the waste hauler on a monthly basis, right? Monthly. Okay.
Is what you have a Word document or is it a piece of paper?
It's a PDF, but it's, you know, 100 some odd pages and gives you all the trash check. We can see what it is.
Right, dump tickets, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So how do we, all right, monthly hauler reports, okay?
Sounds like it's trash.
I'll provide the unit listings. I can provide the unit listings for you.
You have the contract.
Say again,
You-
contract, I can secure the contract, not a
What
problem.
will cost right now is close to 4 million.
Correct. No,
Or is that where
it's over, it's a little over 3 million, it's 3.3 next year. It'll end at 4.
Ended for? Okay. Wow.
Did we say bids from last time?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
That's part of the contract
Okay.
is the bid documents, so contract/bid documents. Yep, I can do that. I was gonna give you historical tonnages
The data on the other communities? Any kind of like, if we have it around, you said there were like 17 other ones?
You'll
that
see
were-
it in,
It's all in there.
it's all in there. Yeah, you'll see. And the nice thing is if you read through that, while it is fascinating reading, I tell you, our SHACOG, and to throw a plug into SHACOG, the leader of SHACOG, his name's Luke Gorski. He's a former manager. He's an attorney by trade, writes fantastic contract documents, like fantastic. As part of that, you actually will start to see, if you read into to Elaine's point, is if you want to see what other communities do and are focused on, you'll read it in there, like, hey, they do this way, and those types of things. So it is kind of fascinating to see how others handle maybe me. Because not everybody has a CBD, not everybody has Washington Road, so we have to write in, hey, the waste hauler comes and picks up each one of those cans every day. Or Monday, I think it's every day up here, Beverly Roads, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, something of that nature. You know, it's like, you gotta pick up the recycling cans too, so you got recycling cans along the central business district, those types of things, so we have that written in, whereas, you know, Upper St. Clair doesn't have that, you know, so.
What's the mechanism by which personnel are approved to be hired? So if you do this, if we do this, you're gonna have to hire X more employees.
Hmm.
Who says yes to that?
The commission. Yep. Through the budgets process.
I was gonna say,
And
you
then-
see that in the budget
Yeah.
process.
Yeah, and then through the budget process, that's approved at a funding level, and then it's upon the manager to hire them. Commission does not hire people, they appropriate the funding to hire,
I assume there's no requirement to be a Mount Lebanon resident to be an employee of the municipality.
only for firefighters. Firefighters are the only ones,
Mhm.
correct?
And when the number of trucks on.
Number of trucks en route, yeah.
And the trash collection fee now we pay that separately now, right?
Correct.
So what percentage of that have we collected this year? You know, because before that's how taxes, right? You know, now we have to pay it separately, so is we getting 100% of the value from every resident, or are we getting?
Not yet.
60% of the value?
Not yet. I can tell you, I think we're at, through September, we billed out 3 million, I think we're at 500,000 left to collect.
Wasn't it all due in the first quarter?
No,
You had the option.
no, yeah, yes, it was due at face, or due, you know, at no penalty at August 31st. Yeah, so. Get one last note before we send you to collections, you know?
Will you actually send people to collection?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I'll be lean to get your property, correct? If it goes far enough. Most people get that nasty gram and then we get a nice large check from our delinquent collector, Jordan Tax. We get a nice large check in about January, February, when people get their nasty gram of saying, hey, by the way, you've been sent to collection. And we get a large one, and then it trickles in over the years. But all of that is tracked, and then upon any transfer of property, it's collected. So we eventually get it, but that's built into the budget.
Right.
Rightfully so, right? I built a absence, yeah.
Well, that's the extent of my extensive research project.
So,
More to come, more to come.
That's a start.
yeah.
Okay, I'll provide those. I'll put those into the SharePoint subcommittee folder. I should be able to get that to you by the end of the week.
Do we know how long garbage trucks last before they become too expensive to maintain?
So we require currently in the contract to have a truck no older. What is it? No, at the start of the contract, no truck older than 2 years. Older, how does it work? Rudy explained this to me. It's basically, we can't have an old truck on the road. Right? At no point can it be, I think, 5 years old by the second year. There's, it may be in the contract, but I can find that out. But it's a 7-year kind of truck. Our big dump trucks are 10 to 13, but they're not gonna be getting the daily use like these would.
Wear and tear is pretty intense, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
The only thing better than trash collection on Washington Road would be a broken down truck
With the Mount Lebanon logo on it, so everyone knows who to,
Exactly.
yeah.
Park behind the double parkers in front of the restaurant.
That's right, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
Maybe put them on a roll-on
There you
and
go.
move them away. Double use.
I mean, cause again, if you're looking at, you only need 3 trucks. Let's say your acquisition cost, that's 800,000. And you get 5 years out of them.
I think when we looked at this rough, when we were talking back and this was when was this? It was when Grella was still on board, cause he asked the question. I know, but he asked the question, it's gotta be within the last 7 years. We called some of the local haulers that are community, that I think North Strabane hauls their own, West Mifflin, so on and so forth. For a community of our size, they recommended 6 trucks at the time.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
Because, and that's because, I don't know exactly why that was, and the rough number was 6 total trucks. Varying sizes, I'm not saying all side loaders, all rear loaders, whatever, but 6 trucks to facilitate. I think it was 2 for recycling, 2 main trucks for recycling, 2 for that, a smaller one, and then a backup. Those types of things.
Don't forget my 800,000.
Probably like $1.5 million. Yeah, probably been
But if you get
employees,
5 years
compensation,
out.
We're talking about 300,000 or 400,000 and dump fees per tonnage, 'cause you have to pay the.
Fuel.
Yeah, maybe closer to break even than what we think.
Yes, they laughed us out of the room when we asked. Yeah, 6-7
Who
years
they?
ago. I think it was it North Strabane? I think it was North Strabane that laughed at us, like, why are you calling us? And this was when it was cheaper. Now it's gonna be more expensive. I mean, you're talking over a $4 million contract by the end of this, so we need to at least do our due diligence to say, hey, this still doesn't make sense to bring in-house.
Or even that, I mean, if you're able to bring the cost down $500,000, that might eliminate the garbage collection fee we had to levy on everybody. That makes everybody happy.
Right, or lowering that, yeah, exactly, yeah.
You're like, oh, I don't have to pay anymore, great idea.
Yeah,
The next contract is gonna be 6 million, probably, right?
right, well, it's gonna probably most likely go up, yeah, so.
All those the cost of all those trucks, that was all not electric, correct?
Oh, absolutely not.
I don't know.
It's a different subcommittee.
Yeah.
Or something, what about the greed, like, they have like.
The natural gas ones?
Gas ones and,
Yeah, Waste Management has a couple electric ones you see out there.
Electric ones.
Yeah, they advertise it that way.
Hey.
Couple.
Wait for the hydrogen.
Okay, so that should be some information for the subcommittee to get started, for sure, okay.
Thank you.
Anybody from Fleet Electrification that would like to speak on anything tonight?
Sure.
Okay.
So I didn't email anything out to our subcommittee. I did upload a document in the SharePoint.
Okay.
You're welcome to pull it up. Basically just took the current list of fleet vehicles that, Andrew provided. From my understanding, it seemed like we were not interested in pursuing a police fleet of electric vehicles based on the electric requirements. So sort of just looking at the general municipality fleet of public works, administration, traffic control, those other things. I think there's like 39 vehicles in that group of cars. There are some tools I found online that provide by organizations that sort of let you sort of look at how that cost will impact the different things you can put in, fuel costs, maintenance costs. So an initial sort of input of that, some questions hopefully get some answers to, but looking over like a 7-year life cycle of a fleet, you might save $100,000 as the initial sort of printout of, we switch to an electric fleet. We can pull it up maybe.
Yep, I'm getting there.
This is just sort of based on my, PDF.
Which one?
PDF would be great.
Nice and big.
This sort of tracks, based on
I'll get there, I'll
yeah,
get there.
what kind of cars
Just a
we
second.
have, medium duty trucks, passenger vehicles, what the current car is, what a equivalent replacement would be. So if you've got a Ford Explorer, a Kia EV9, right? So not looking at a fleet of Teslas or a fleet of, Volvos or whatever, right? you know, we don't have to go through all this. You can sort of scroll down, there's sort of some more breakouts here that we have. You know, cost per mile of conventional vehicle, EV alternative, maintenance costs, and this program has a lot of things we can input into it, so if we can get maybe some information on, I don't know if Mount Lebanon Tracks, how much they spend per year maintenance on the fleet, what they pay for fuel, you know, do we buy fuel at a bulk price that's a discount from what you get at Sunoco?
Yes.
We obviously probably fuel up locally at the municipal center, I would assume, so if we have that, you know, that information, maybe like mileages of vehicles, what they're doing per year, that's possible. And then I guess we sort of talked about, you know, you look at the list of cars, we have 2017s to 2005s, right? Those just cycle through the fleet. You know, what's our average lifespan on a car, right? Is it 7 years, 10 years? Do we resell these cars at the end of the cycle? Okay, you know, what kind of, we have historical data on what kind of resale value we get out of the vehicles, that'd be sort of helpful to maybe evaluate. Do we continue with keeping the cars we have until end of life, or do we sell them earlier for a bigger turnover to switch to more electric vehicles earlier on?
Gotcha. Okay.
So, yeah, I put this in this up, when you can take a look at it, we can maybe have a meeting about, once we have some more metrics to put in there, once we figure out what our actual costs are. But, you know, at first pass, I think, if you scroll down some more, it might have a summary at the bottom there. Yeah, this is the sort of what you have versus what's the equivalent car. Maybe not, but there's, I think.
So what's the bottom line?
I think overall, based on the information I put in our current fleet, if we switch to a fully electric fleet equivalency over 7 years, you would save $100,000.
Total.
Right.
But you also got garbage trucks.
That was not part of the assignment. I think that budget would be negative. I'm not sure you'd save any money.
But that, as part of the savings, does that talk about any of the infrastructure?
That's
piece of
why,
it?
yeah, that's fine.
No, so based on that, I put in basically recharging the municipality. If we know, you know, what the municipality pays per kilowatt, that's something we can put into this to figure out what it would cost to charge the cars.
I would request, so you kind of throw a lot of information right there at me.
I can prepare a list.
Yeah, let's put it together, a list. I'm more, we have all that information. Tying it together, because all this areas that you're talking about use different identifiers. Will it be VIN, plate number, shorthand of a department identification number?
Yeah, you know, Public Works has a master list of, you know, if how they track or who tracks what, right? Because the cars belong to different departments.
Yes, there's, 198 U3. Terry and I know what that is, but you ain't gonna know what that is, you know? And they use U3 regardless of vehicle upon, so it's, but that may take a little bit of time to gather that so we can understand that, but, you know, we're more than happy to provide that data, and we have plenty of it.
And we'll have good record.
Yeah, we have all the fuel data you're talking about, you know, but,
Yeah, you sort of see, sort of list, you know, what cars, you know, you might get the most savings out of, so maybe we pick off if Mount Lebanon's interested in a pilot program of, hey, let's try 5 or 6 EV cars.
Yeah.
We can look at, okay, these are the 5 or 6 we should switch to and see if it works out for us.
Okay, yeah. And again, I think all coming back to the end goal being departments getting the ability to go through that analysis for themselves together with you, right? Whether that be, you know, us providing example one, and then when we move forward in that pilot of, you know, giving those decision tree to be part of that. Okay, awesome.
I'm impressed with the VINs.
So, yeah, that was fun. Because they just put in 2017, whatever online, found a car for sale that had a VIN number, so.
Oh, so this is some, I thought you were using our VIN.
No, no.
I was like, I didn't know I gave you VIN numbers, but.
Yeah, the program only tracks by VIN number, you can't pick by car, so I had to find a VIN number for corresponding car to the list and just threw it in there for. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw Dodge Hornet on there and I knew we didn't have it.
Right, yeah, so, like I said, it's not perfect, but yeah. Close to what we have.
Got it.
So if we have actual VIN numbers, we can get, you know, more accurate data.
Cool. So would those be our VIN numbers or?
Or our current fleet,
Okay.
yes.
the equivalent. Oh, okay, gotcha.
Yeah, so the VIN is whatever, and the equivalent will be a 2024 Dodge Hornet PHEV, right?
Got it.
A plug-in hybrid.
Okay, cool. Provide that to as well.
I think you had shared some, I think some grants or something that we were possibly gonna look at.
Yeah, and it's past at this point, but there's probably others that are gonna come
I was
up
gonna say there'll be more.
that if we're prepared, it could be interesting to look at.
And that's assuming the charging stations are installed with grants, so there's no extra cost.
Right, and here it's purely just looking at car costs, right, and
Yeah.
maintenance, gas, and then if we have a, you know, if we're gonna pay to, I mean, we're paying for the electricity to charge the cars, I mean, you're not gonna charge Mount Lebanon a premium to charge the cars, but you'll start paying the electric
Yeah,
utility.
we'll still pay a utility fee, right? Okay. Cool. Anything else for fleet electrification? Give me more homework, that's good.
I was
Thanks.
gonna say, you're leaving with a long to be.
Just in time for next month.
Why we cancel next month's meeting?
That's right,
You guys don't have anything else going on, though, do you?
No, nothing. We're gonna blind you in mirage of food from November 13th.
That carbohydrate food coma.
Yes, yes, we'll make sure it's pasta too.
Yeah. Are there cookies?
I always
Asking
get
for a friend,
dessert.
right?
She always gets dessert, cookie cakes are a win, ice cream cakes, yes, we don't mess around, or, you know. Terry doesn't mess around, I should say, I don't have anything to do with
There's
it,
no
so,
problem then.
yeah, no problem, no.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, you had something else?
Yeah, and you may have covered this. I was just kind of part of the commissioner report, and I don't know if you briefed the group or not on this, just what we talked about last night, just to give the group an idea where commission was presented another version of the main park site and recreation center architectural study. And so that was kind of the fourth pass at it. It's supposed to be the final recommendations. There's stuff in there that is kind of the grand big ideas, as well as maybe smaller things to achieve. And so anyway, that hasn't, I'm not sure, and Andrew can say better, that has not been officially presented to us, but the point is, we got it, we reviewed it, I know that at least a couple of commissioners having questions about what was presented. I just wanted the group to know that there are some awfully big ticket items that are part of that presentation that will, at some point, I'm sure, cross the path of the board. I was going to mention something else too, Andrew, but I don't know if you want to fill in any detail on the parks study before I go to the next topic.
Nope.
Okay. We also had a presentation from the architects for the South Garage study that they're kind of presenting to us what they were going to send out to organizations, you know, as we're looking at public-private partnerships. So almost you call it maybe the maybe not bid package, but certainly an idea to entice people to get involved in the project. And then we're hoping to get some cost information back from those folks by roughly first commission meeting in December. So that South Garage study, that's starting to move along. Again, we just got the first package. And again, Andrew, anything you want to add to that?
No.
Okay. And finally, just, it was kind of a nice thing we got from the partnership of those projects I love, and that it, but for some public works time, doesn't cost the municipality anything. It's a public, basically to project art in the uptown area, and the partnership using money that they raised from the arts in the festival, and also getting a grant. So that hopefully will be out soon. We okayed that we would use public works time to install these devices, but there's some things, there's some nice pictures on the sidewalks, add a sidewalk on Parsway, kind of projecting that sidewalk on a Parsway. So just one of those things where I'll call it the project art plan is the short term versus those other two things I mentioned are much more longer term items, but I just want to brief the board on what's going on. Any questions? Perfect.
All right. New business. Reminder, our next meeting will be December 11th. Well, then, in November. Thanks, Steve.